Hi and welcome to this wall yoga session. My name's Hannah and I'm going to be guiding you through your class today. For this class we are going to be using the wall, so you will need to find some space in your house or wherever you are with a wall. It kind of goes without saying, but you want to be mindful of where you're choosing. If you're next to a door, just again maybe make people aware in the house what you're doing so that they don't open the door onto you. And you also want to be aware of things on the wall and around you as well, and making sure that nothing's going to fall on you while you're enjoying your practice. So you will need a yoga mat or just some space next to a wall. If you're using a yoga mat, you want to roll it out right up against the wall like I have done here. And you can grab a block to hand if you want that as well, just in case. But when you're ready, we're going to get started. So we're going to begin against the wall, and the way that we're going to do this is we'll start by sitting right up against the wall like this. We're going to come down onto our backs and then we'll swing the legs up the wall, turning so that we're kind of facing it. We're going to start with the legs lengthened up towards the sky, and this one's called Fountain of Youth. The legs don't need to be straight here. If there's a bend in the knees, that's absolutely fine as well. But just coming to a comfortable place. If you'd find it more comfortable to have a block underneath your lower spine here too, that is also an option. But just allowing the hands to rest wherever feels best for you. So rather than Shavasana, we're going to start here. So think about closing down the eyes or maybe softening the gaze if that's more comfortable. We're just going to take a moment to arrive. So arriving mentally into the space as well as physically, but also into the present moment. Just first of all, allowing your body to completely settle. When our bodies settle, it's so much easier for our mind to settle as well. So finding that place of comfort, no matter what it looks like, and just completely letting go. Maybe taking a moment just to notice your breath and start to guide your awareness there. Just noticing how it feels to breathe in this shape as opposed to the usual Shavasana or seated, maybe child's pose. Maybe this feels a little bit different for you. And then taking a nice deep inhale through the nose, start to fill your body with the breath. Sip in as much air as you possibly can and keep breathing in until you can't anymore. Then open the mouth and let it go. Let's do that one more time, taking a nice deep inhale through the nose. Filling your body. And then exhale, let it go. Perfect. When you're ready, we're going to start to blink open the eyes. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together. So we're coming into a kind of a variation of sleeping butterfly. So bringing the feet together, bending the knees, allow the feet to slide down the wall. It doesn't matter if in this variation the feet kind of slightly part. Main thing to remember is this is about the sensation, not so much about the shapes and how they look. You want to follow how it feels. So if it's comfortable to let the feet part, then let that happen. If they feel comfortable together, then again, let that happen, whatever works for you. And this is going to feel different to how we might usually practice sleeping butterfly or cobbler's pose, seated butterfly, because we're practicing it using the force of gravity in a different way than we normally would. So the force of gravity is guiding the feet in towards the body as opposed to opening up the knees or helping us fold forward. So it might feel slightly different to how we would usually practice this pose. It just offers a different sensation, it offers slightly different benefits. Lovely. Ultimately, it allows us to soften and relax in poses that we might not usually be able to. It helps us to let go a little bit more. Let's take one more inhale. And one more exhale where we are. Perfect. Let's start to slide the feet back up the wall. We're going to keep our left leg where it is, and we're going to allow our right leg to slide all the way down. So we're starting to work into inner thigh now, and this one can be quite intense. If it's more comfortable to bend that left knee, bring the sole of the left foot onto the earth, or onto the wall even, then that's an option as well. If you've got your block, you can pop your block underneath the ankle or the foot for some extra support there as well. Again, just making this a little bit more comfortable, offering a little bit more support. The great thing about the wall is using it as a prop. It does offer support in poses that we might not be able to support ourselves. It's the same with the floor. So our body is completely supported. The wall, the floor, they're not going to move anywhere, unlike, say, a block or a bolster. So a little bit of extra stability. Yeah, it kind of makes us feel a little safer in these poses as well. Lovely. Let's take one last inhale. One last exhale. Perfect. We're going to take that over to the opposite side. So bringing that right leg back up to center and swapping it over. Again, you can have that right leg lengthened if you want to, or we can take the sole of the right foot onto the wall if that's a little bit more comfortable. It definitely is for me in this one. So just allowing the foot to fall towards the earth. Again, supporting however you want. If you don't have a block at home, could always use maybe a couple of rolled up blankets or cushions underneath the leg. Maybe some books piled up would work as well. Perfect, nice. Again, following that slow, steady rhythm with the breath. One more inhale. And one more exhale. Fabulous. Start to bring the left leg back up to center. We're going to take both soles of the feet onto the wall now, and we're going to come into a variation of reclined pigeon. So for this one, the further the feet are up the wall, the less you're going to feel. And if you want a little bit more, then you want to walk your feet further down the wall. It brings the thighs closer in towards the chest. Either way, we're going to start with our left foot on the wall. Right leg is going to cross over that left thigh to come into reclined pigeon. Again, the further you take the left foot on this side up the wall, the less you're going to feel. And if you want a little bit more, start to slide that right foot all the way down, bringing the legs closer in towards the body. Again, in this one, it offers us that kind of restorative element. We're not kind of straining and pulling our body into the shape. The arms can relax. The wall's doing all the work for us here. Lovely, really nice. 2 more breaths. Amazing. One last full breath here. That's lovely. Start to unravel the legs. Maybe take the feet onto the wall a little bit wider than hip width. Give them a bit of a windscreen wipe from side to side. Lovely. Working into the hips, bringing a little bit of movement back into the body. Amazing. And then we're going to swap it over. So exactly the same again, but this time we're crossing the left ankle over the top of the right leg. And you might notice some differences from side to side. Don't worry if the poses look slightly different. That's absolutely fine. There's no need to force yourself into a shape just because you got into it on the previous side. Got to remember that when we finish this practice, we want to feel good. So we're taking variations and options that feel good for our body in this moment. You almost want to treat each new side as a brand new stretch. Perfect. One more inhale and one more exhale. Lovely. Start to release that left leg. We're going to bring the soles of the feet back onto the wall. We want the ankles to be a little further up the wall than our knees. And we're going to come into a variation of bridge pose now. We're going to start to flow with our breath a little bit as we do this. So we'll take the hands down beside us. And we're going to start to press into the feet. And as we inhale, lift the sit bones away from the mat. Start to roll up through the spine all the way up as far as feels comfortable. Maybe starting to lift up onto the shoulders. And then as we exhale, we're going to roll all the way back down through the spine. It almost feels like a little bit of a massage as we roll all the way back down. Lovely. And there's no rush here. Again, we can shuffle the feet further up the wall if that feels better, or maybe closer down, whatever works for you. Let's take that a couple more times. So inhale, slowly rolling up through the spine. Squeezing the glutes, lifting the hips as high as feels good. And then exhale to roll all the way back down. Fabulous. One more time. Inhale, lifting. Starting to feel the quads and the glutes fire up. And this time we're going to hold it at the top. So you can stay as you are if you want to. If you'd like to work into a shoulder stand variation, then you can start to lengthen the legs out with the heels resting against the wall instead. And we're going to hold it here just for 3 more breaths. Again, this is quite nice in our shoulder stand variation because it offers us support that we wouldn't get in the middle of the room. Lovely. One more breath in. Sliding the feet back down onto the wall if you're in your shoulder stand variation. And then as you breathe out, we'll start to roll back down through the spine. Perfect. Really nice. So letting the feet come back onto the wall, we want the ankles about in line with the knees now. We're going to slide both feet down this wall over to the left side of the room, coming into a twist. So allowing the legs just to come all the way down to the mat. If you've got your blocks, you can use them underneath the legs for extra support here. The arms can go out into a capital T shape if it feels good, and you could take your gaze over the right shoulder as well. But again, just softening and relaxing. Lovely. The wall in this one is guiding our knees a little closer in towards the chest than perhaps we normally would. And it just changes where we feel the rotation in the spine the most. So a little further up the spine rather than lower down into the hips. Lovely. As you inhale, we'll slide the feet all the way back up through center. And as we exhale, we're taking it over to the opposite side, allowing the gaze to roll over the left shoulder if it feels good. Lovely. Nice. Start to bring your knees back up to center. We're going to start to move away from the wall now. So in fact, we can let the thighs come back down towards the earth. We're just going to roll up onto the knees. So we'll meet in a downward facing dog position on the mat. So finding your 4-point kneeling in the center, spreading the fingers wide. And then we'll tuck the toes underneath, and we'll begin to lift the sit bones up to the sky, coming into your downward facing dog. Maybe just take a second here to pedal out the feet, do whatever feels good for you. If your body craves movement, then let that happen. Follow the signals that your body's giving you. Lovely. And then we'll just bring the knees back down to the earth. We're going to start to come to a kneeling position facing the wall. And we're going to come into a variation of puppy pose now. So if we come up onto the knees, the hips are directly above the knees in this one. We're going to walk the hands up the wall and start to lower our chest towards it. Lovely. Again, a slightly different variation of our puppy. The gravity is working in a different way here for us. Normally, we're kind of going down towards the mat, whereas this one, we're going towards the wall. Working on kind of sinking the chest. Lovely. Of course, you can soften the elbows as much as feels good in this one. Remember to listen to your body. Do what feels right for you. Your chest doesn't need to meet the wall in this one either. We're just going towards it. And you can walk the knees as far away from the wall as you want. The further you walk the knees away, the deeper the stretch is going to be. Lovely. One more inhale. One more exhale. That's perfect. Lovely. So coming back up to that kneeling position this time, it's a variation of crucifix or broken wing. We're going to reach our right arm out to the right side of the room. And you want to try and keep your right elbow in line with your right shoulder. And all we're going to do, keeping the shoulder connected to the wall, is start to shuffle all the way around over to the left side of the room. So we're facing the right side, and the back of the body is shuffling around to the left. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but you've got it. That's perfect. Nice. One more inhale. One more exhale. Amazing. And we're just going to shuffle back around to center. We're swapping it over so the left arm reaches out this time, kind of shuffling all the way around. You're trying to keep the shoulder connected to the wall as much as you can. Again, it doesn't really matter if it lifts away. We're following the sensation. That's the main thing. If it feels good and you can feel it working, then that's all that matters. Lovely, perfect. One last breath in. One last breath out. Amazing, perfect. Okay, moving away from the wall slightly, we're going to come back into downward facing dog. So lifting the hips nice and high. We're just going to step the right foot in between the hands. So we are going to be up against the wall. You might need to shuffle over just slightly. It's unlikely that your right foot's going to be right up against the wall. You'll probably feel your hip next to the wall instead. And we're coming up into a low lunge position. So sinking the hips nice and low. We'll take an inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. And as we exhale, we're going to twist towards the wall. So that left arm's going to reach forward. The right arm is going to reach back. And you're aiming to open your chest across the wall here. As we inhale, we're going to come up through center. On our exhale, we'll take it in the opposite direction. So right arm reaches forward against the wall as we reach our left arm back. And again, we're using the wall to press open the chest. We're aiming for that left arm to meet the wall as well. Lovely. One more time each side. Inhale up through center. Exhale to twist towards the wall. Lovely. Inhale through center. Exhale to twist away. Nice. Perfect. As we inhale, we're going to reach the arms all the way back up, and then exhale, plant them all the way back down, and we'll step it back into downward facing dog. Lovely. Stepping the left foot forward to meet the top of the mat. We're coming back into low lunge. This time we're kind of facing away from the wall. We're just going to take an inhale to reach the arms up to the sky. As you exhale, take your right hand down to your right hip. We're going to start to reach over towards the wall, coming into a side bend. And again, we're aiming for the arms to meet here, adding in a little bit of lateral flexion. Lovely. Nice. Take an inhale, reach the arms back up to the sky, and then exhale, plant the hands down. Step it back into downward facing dog. Perfect. Lovely. Bring the knees to the earth, and we're just going to spin it around to face the opposite side now, taking that again on the other side. Amazing. So spreading the fingers wide, let's meet back in downward facing dog. Perfect. Okay, so this time we're going to step the left foot forward in between the hands. Again, you might need to shuffle and adjust a little bit here, just so that your hip is kind of connected to the wall. Perfect. And when you're ready, take a breath in, reach the arms up to the sky. As we exhale, first of all, twisting towards the wall. This time the right arm reaches out in front, left arm reaches back. Nice. And we're trying to miss the wall with the hands if we can. As you inhale, we'll come back up through center. Exhale, twisting over to the opposite side. This time using the wall to help us open the chest. Really nice. Inhale to come up through center. Exhale one more time each side. Lovely, just following your breath. Amazing, lovely. Coming back into our low lunge, take that breath in, and as you breathe out, plant the hands down, and we'll step it back, downward facing dog. Perfect. Right foot steps back to the top of the mat. We're going to bring the left knee down back into low lunge. Take an inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. As you exhale, the left hand comes down to the left hip this time. Right arm is going to reach over towards the wall. Nice. So you can even press your fingertips into the wall a little bit here to help lengthen and increase the bend through the right side of the body. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. Exhale, plant the hands down. Step it back, downward facing dog. Fabulous, well done. Okay, we're going to bring the knees down onto the mat, and we're going to start to face away from the wall now. This one's a little bit trickier to get into. We've got blocks if we need them. You can always place the block underneath the back knee for this if you want to. It is there to hand. But we'll come to hands and knees, to 4-point kneeling, and we're going to come into a low lunge variation, working into the quad now with the wall to help us. So we'll start with the right foot forward, in between the hands. Left knee's back. What I want you to do is start to lift your left foot away from the mat. We're going to place the left foot up against the wall to come into a quad stretch. So you can start to shuffle that left knee back if you want to, taking the left foot a little further up against the wall. Again, this one's a little bit trickier to get into. It doesn't matter how far the foot goes up or how close that back knee is to the wall, as long as you feel the stretch. And then we're going to bring the hands onto the right knee. So we'll start by taking an inhale, sink the hips low, lift the chest. As you exhale, press into that right foot, lifting the sit bones up towards the wall to work into the quad. Nice. Inhale, lower the hips, lift the chest. Exhale to press it back. A little bit of balance needed here as well. One more time. Inhale, lower the hips. Exhale to press out. Perfect. Lovely. Okay, bringing the hands onto the mat. We're going to come back into our low lunge position, again with the knee as close to the wall as feels good. And all we're going to do from here is start to sweep the arms behind us and reach back towards that back foot to open the chest a little bit more. And I want you to think about squeezing the shoulder blades together, maybe taking the gaze up as well. You can start to sink the hips a little bit lower if it feels good. Lovely. One more inhale. And then as we exhale, we can start to release. Perfect. It's not the most graceful transition into a pose and out of a pose, but stepping the right foot back and bringing that left knee down to the earth. Let's swap it over. Okay, so hands and knees. Left foot comes forward. We're taking the right foot up to the wall, shuffling that right knee as far back as feels good. Like I said, it's a little bit of a challenge. Half the challenge is getting into the pose. I'm finding it more difficult on this side, but that's okay. Lovely. Once you get to a place that feels good, we'll bring the hands onto the knees, onto that left knee. We can bring the hands onto the mat as well. You could always have blocks underneath the hands to work through this transition if that's more comfortable as well. That is an option too. Nice. Take an inhale, sink those hips a little bit lower as you lift the chest. Exhale, press into your left foot, sending the sit bones back towards the wall. Nice. Inhale, lower the hips. We've been here before, you know where you're going. Exhale, send it back. Lovely. One last time. Lowering and lifting. Perfect. Bringing the hands to the wall, just adjusting as you need to get to your optimal place here. And then we're going to start to reach the hands towards that back foot. Doesn't matter if it doesn't meet the back foot. You can always interlace the fingers behind you instead. But we're aiming for that back foot, sinking the hips low, lifting the chest, holding for 3 more breaths. Lovely, 2 more breaths. One last full breath. Amazing. Start to release. Bring the hands down onto the mat. We're going to take our left foot back and bring our right leg away from the wall. Perfect. Well done. Okay. Coming back to a seat, sideways against the wall, shuffle as close as you can. Lying backwards, start to swing the legs all the way up, and we're going to meet back in our fountain of youth. Fabulous. Well done, guys. Okay, so coming back into fountain of youth. Again, softening the knees if it feels good, or keeping the legs lengthened if that feels better for you. And just finding that place of stillness that we started with. So practices like our wall yoga remind us to kind of be open-minded as we walk into different situations and different parts of our lives. For lots of us, wall yoga probably isn't something that's very familiar. I'm sure there's some of us that have done a little bit of wall yoga before, but it's not usually part of our regular practice. And so being open-minded, letting go of judgment and expectation, and just kind of going with the flow is naturally part of the practice. And so we'll take these last few moments as an opportunity just to thank ourselves for being open-minded, thanking ourselves for leaving our judgments somewhere else. Thanking ourselves for taking the time to do some yoga, to practice something that's good for your mind and your body. and ultimately thanking yourself for showing up for you today. You can stay here for as long as you like. I'm going to end the video here, but feel free to take some extra time in your final relaxation. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste. Oh.